Hey guys, welcome back. This is Wrestling with Idiots podcast. I'm your host D, and kicking us off tonight we have Cito and Jay Grizz with a little breakdown of Raw. So without further ado, let's get this shit in the ring and wrestle. First up, how do you feel about Rhea opening Raw challenging Liv Morgan? Jay Grizz, what do you think?
Man, Rhea Ripley, man, she looks good. I want a Jey Uso on that one. I kind of want to holler as well because, man, that's a baddie right there. Oh, what was the question? Oh, yeah, she's challenging Liv Morgan. Yeah, that was the question. Shoot, I don't know. I mean, I think Rhea Ripley is going to rip Liv apart, but I don't know if you guys are smelling what I'm smelling, and it damn sure what The Rock is cooking. I'm smelling a little bit of a Judgment Day split up. I think Liz and bobblehead JD McDonough, along with Finn Balor, are kind of gonna split and side with Liv Morgan. I mean, after all, Liv Morgan is the reason why those two in particular got the tag team titles. Also, we see Finn Balor sneak and get that hotel key. We see Finn Balor do some sneaky things. But, yeah, I like the Rhea Liv thing. I love it. It's really red hot right now. It's one of the fewer things on the Raw brand or just in wrestling in general that I like to see. So I love the fact that she's back. I love the fact that she's ready for the challenge. And I think they're going to have a really, really, really fun match at SummerSlam this year.
You know,
what do you guys think about it?
I'll be honest with you. I'm actually happy to see Rhea back. I think that women's roster kind of needed her, so I'm happy she wasn't gone for a long amount of time. I'll be honest with you. I think this is probably one of the best things going on in WWE as well. And I expect this to be a pretty solid match, and I think the angle is a really good angle. Now, I kind of agree. Well, you know. Listen, I actually kind of agree with you, but I have a feeling that Dom's going to turn on her, bro.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's going to turn on her.
I don't think he's going to turn on me.
I think he's going to turn on her. And I'll be honest with you, because we're not doing the predictions yet, but I don't see Liv losing that title at SummerSlam. As of right now, I don't see that happening.
So let me get this straight. You believe that Dominic Mysterio, who turned on his poppy, Rey Mysterio, now is going to turn on his mommy, Rhea Ripley?
That's not true. That's not true. His father turned on him.
You know what? You are right. You know, after all, Rey Mysterio is the reason why Dom was placed in prison during hard time. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, just call it for what it is. He's a deadbeat dad. That's just what it is.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
You know, Dominic is personally one of my heroes. You know what I mean? I can say that confidently.
He's an inspiration for us all. I mean, for Christ's sake, the guy got out of his father's shadow by literally outgrowing him in height. And then he was a convicted felon, right? And then he got out of the prison system and he became a model citizen. We all could look up to Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
I want to be just like Dominic Mysterio when I grow up, man. I really do. You know what? I'm even thinking about growing out my mustache. Well, I can't grow one out, but I'm thinking about going to Amazon.com and purchasing one and getting a mustache just like him.
I was thinking about getting the mullet.
You thinking about getting the mullet?
The mullet, yeah.
I'm not mad at that. Dom, what do you think about the cowboy vest? You think about getting that? Oh, she did. Damn.
She has no comment for that.
She's not even
going to dignify that. She's not going to dignify that with an answer.
Well, you're going to have to get her the vest or the boots. One of the two.
I'll tell you right now, I'm a big fan of the boots and the vest. She hates it. I don't know why. I think it's awesome. You know?
I think it'll make a perfect gift. You know, like I said, you're the inspiration to us all.
Well, and you know what? we're talking about a couple people from Judgment Day, right? Because you mentioned JD, you mentioned Finn. We're talking about Rhea, we're talking about Dom. Damien Priest is also in Judgment Day, right?
Yeah, he is. That's for sure.
And come SummerSlam, he's defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther.
Gunther!
Now, I don't know if you've seen their promo they had, their segment in the ring on Monday.
I watched a little bit of it. I sure did.
And what you got to say about that? Because I don't think we're going to agree on this.
We definitely are not going to agree. I think Gunther is a very polished individual. I think he does pretty decent promos. And he does it in a smug way. Like, he's always smiling. He reminds me of that. He reminds me of, like, if Bruce Wayne's parents didn't die, he would just be a smug-faced son of a, you know what. Not sure if we could curse on this thing, but you get where I'm coming from. You know, he reminds me of what Bruce Wayne would be like if Bruce Wayne just never lost his mom and dad in that alleyway in Gotham City and all that good stuff. He's just very smug. He's arrogant. He's only lost to 3 people. He's the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. I thought the promo was pretty good. I think Damien as champion, and I had my, I'm not a Damien fan, but I am a Damien believer now. He carries that belt very well, carries himself very well. He's got the promos down pat. He can speak well. He sounds like he is the man in charge of that brand. And Gunther is the same thing. These are 2 alpha males that are about to throw down and give us a hell of a match. What you got?
I expect this to be a pretty good match. Listen, I've been a Damien fan, right? And I'm happy that he's the world champ. But, man, I'll be honest with you, the crowd did not care about any of those guys on Monday. And I'll be honest with you, I like Damien. I don't think he's the best promo. He seems to be better when he's in the back talking to people and he doesn't have a microphone in his face. And Gunther did not have a good promo either. That was not a good promo by any of the guys, and I don't think they got a good reaction either. So hopefully they can blow everybody away with that match at SummerSlam.
I think the match will be pretty decent. Maybe good. It just depends on the chemistry. They both can go separately, but the first time together, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll be a good one. I think it will be good. But, we've also been disappointed with matches, of course, at times. So, yeah, let's hope.
I mean, Styles is everything. You know what I mean?
AJ Styles is everything.
I wasn't talking about him, but you know what I mean.
Not really.
I don't know if Gunther and Damien, if their fighting style is going to lead to a good match or a not so good match. You know what I mean?
Oh, they're fighting. Okay, because certainly they're not phenomenal. I mean, they're good, but they're just not phenomenal.
Yeah, no. I'll speak for Damien. He has a better haircut. Gunther, I don't know what that is either. Oh,
I mean, when you look like the Undertaker doing Pride Month, but you know what? What else happened on Raw that you want to speak about?
Well, something that I've been waiting for a long time, right? Because everybody betrayed. It's a long time coming because everybody turned their back on Chad Gable. I'm very happy to see the Creed brothers by his side. And I'll tell you right now, I was shocked when I saw Bo Dallas just come out as regular Bo. And then he got attacked by all 3 men.
Yeah.
And then he had the Wyatt Six come out.
It was despicable. It was disgusting. That was just god-awful terrible. Why would they jump poor Bo Dallas like that? He had done nothing wrong. Done nothing wrong.
I don't know if you noticed something, and I think I might be one of the first people to figure it out, right?
What's that?
I don't think we've ever seen Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy at the same place at the same time.
Well, why would we? They're two different people, obviously.
Well, I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that I think they're the same people.
Listen, Chad Gable's a little confused. Obviously, he had the head trauma injury, so he doesn't know who is who. He thinks that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas and Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy. Why I don't even have a clue. I don't know why. And shout out to Bo Dallas, who seems like he's been going through a lot of therapy. He looks like he's in a much better place. He comes out with a smile on his face. He even took getting beat up with a smile on his face. That gang initiation that he even asked to be in was just disgusting.
But
Despicable.
there are people that pay for that.
Unbelievable, man. And these guys are supposed to be wrestlers. First of all, the Creed brothers, they've been in the WWE for I don't know how long, and I still don't know their names. I just know them as the Creed brothers, whatever. But yeah, those guys need to be in prison. You know what I mean? Those guys need to be locked away. That was a gang jumping, and I'm just not a fan of that.
I'm on the opposite side, right? Where I think Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy are the same person. And I think it's disgusting that this group keeps going after Chad. So I'm actually pretty happy what happened.
Why?
And I think it was...
You can't prove that Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy are the same people. How can you be the same person with two different names?
You know what? I actually didn't think about that.
Right. See, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to better assist you in the logic behind the madness, Chad Gable's madness, because he's clearly taking aim at the wrong person. Think about this. When you saw Uncle Howdy had other gang members with him during the assault. You saw Bo Dallas by himself. And then, for whatever reason, Uncle Howdy's friends came to rescue Bo Dallas because they just couldn't sit back in the locker room and allow this beating to continue on a friend of the family, perhaps. You know what I mean? So
okay,
I'm glad that they went and saved this young man.
So so you're basically saying that in a fair fight, Uncle Howdy is terrified of Chad Gable. I don't blame him. I
don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Just saying, Chad Gable's a former Olympian.
He is. Definitely.
Not everybody can make it to the Olympics.
Not everybody can make it. Not everybody is allowed to go. Absolutely right about that.
From one attack to another attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental Championship against Dragunov.
I don't think that people are into Ilja just quite yet, and yeah, it's one of those things where the guy's a good wrestler. I don't think his promos are all that bad, but he's just not catching anybody's attention, and I'm just not quite sure. I do like his wrestling abilities. The guy can wrestle. He's hard hitting. I like watching him. But I don't know. I just want Sami Zayn to lose, man. Just lose that belt.
I know. You say that every week.
Every week I'm gonna say
I'm not gonna disagree with you. I don't really want him with the belt either.
Yeah, like come on. We're all waiting for Braun Breaker. We're all waiting for Braun Steiner to win the belt.
Braun Steiner.
Yes,
I'll tell you right now.
Because I hate the name Braun Breaker. I've hated it since it first appeared. He is a Steiner, and people didn't even know he was a Steiner. Now they know he's a Steiner. If you watch the Hall of Fame of the Steiner brothers, duh. But whatever. This is why we're wrestling idiots, folks.
Well, what we thinking? It's going to be a three-way? Because that's what it's looking like, right?
A three-way? What are we on? Pornhub? A triple threat match between the three gentlemen, for the Intercontinental title, for the prestigious Intercontinental title belt. Yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna have a good old-fashioned three-way dance, if you will, a good old-fashioned triple threat match, and I'm expecting Braun Breaker to win that belt. It better not be Sami Zayn. That's all I know. Otherwise, you know what I'm gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna sit here at my laptop and I'm gonna tweet about it.
You're gonna tweet something.
I don't even have a Twitter/X account, but I will make one up. I will get one, and I will cancel my subscription to the WWE. Wait, it's not. No, wait a minute. To the Peacock. I'll pluck the feathers off the Peacock. That's what I'll do.
Bro, I'm not even gonna hold you. If Breaker don't win that, if you don't win that belt, I'm gonna be sick, bro. I'm not even playing. I'm gonna be real sick.
Man, I'm telling you, man. They gotta get that belt for Sami Zayn.
Man, well, you know what? You seen AEW this week?
You know what? I was tortured.
What's up? Oh.
I was tortured and I was forced to watch the show. You know,
the minute you said he was tortured, I was like, yeah, he definitely watched it then.
Well, listen, I didn't watch it live. I actually was busy living a life, doing something, and
trust me, nobody watches it live.
Yeah, that's apparently so. Just look at the people behind the hard camera. Wait, there's nobody there except for the hard camera. But anyway, so after everything was said and done, Wednesday night, I went on social media and I found out that Maxwell Jacob Friedman had won the very prestigious international championship belt from young Will Ospreay in a 1-hour match. And for you wrestling fans out there, don't get cute with me. It was 1 hour. I don't care if it was 59 minutes and whatever seconds left on the clock. It was an hour-long match. And this is my problem with AEW. I said it before and I'll say it again. You don't need to have these matches go on but for so long. We don't need a 60-minute limit. First of all, you got a 2-hour show. Why would you have a 60-minute match? This is why nobody else on the roster can shine. And they are now understanding that you pay a bunch of guys a ton of money to be on the roster, to be on the shows, but you can't get it because you have two men who have to wrestle 20, 30 minutes, and in this case, a full hour. It doesn't make any sense. This is not a blood feud that needs to come to a conclusion. It's not like that. And if it was, there's no need for it to go almost 60 minutes. A feud, a good old-fashioned feud, should only last about 17 minutes, 20 minutes. That's what, but these matches are always so competitive that it never comes to an end. I'm going to be honest with you, right? I tried to watch the whole thing. The match, it's just one of those things where it's just like, I like MJF. Well, Ospreay is a pretty good wrestler. I'm not quite sure. He does a lot of flips and does a lot of moves, but it just doesn't stand out because he looks the same as everybody else. So I'm watching the match, and you know, you see a bunch of stuff and blah 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 and yada yada yada. It's the same thing over and over again, and then MJF wins the belt. Cool. And then, you know, I'm kind of seeing another match that's going to happen later that night, but I don't even think it was the main event. I'm not even sure. I think it was a Swerve Strickland versus Okada. Okada's got a belt. I don't even know the name of the belt that he's got, but I see Strickland with the belt. I know the match is coming. Didn't get to watch that match, but that's another thing, man. You have two stars, right? You got your champion. You guys wanted Strickland to be champion so bad. Now he has the belt. You signed Okada. And some people think the stuff that Okada is doing, that the stuff that he's doing in AEW is pretty good. I don't think so. I think it's trash. I think it's terrible. I think it's nonsense. It's not watchable. All right? So you have one of the biggest signings that you had in the last year and a half or however long you've been with the company. I think it's been over a year now. versus your champion on free TV. Well, I mean, the only good thing that came out of this is the rating went up some, instead of on a weekly downtime. But other than that, I didn't watch any Collision. I'm not watching Rampage. I'm not watching Rampage. Let me tell you something. The only possible way I'm going to start watching AEW shows is if the fans start to subscribe and share to their friends and get in these comments and they talk about AEW and all this good stuff. And, if we get monetized and if Tony Khan gives me a phone call and puts me on the payroll, I will watch the entire Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, all that good stuff. But until then, it's torturous to watch this stuff in full. I don't even know how their fans can do it, but they can't because that's why they're losing fans. But let's skip and skedaddle off of that. We got to talk about some SmackDown. What do you want to talk about? SmackDown was on Friday night. What happened?
I want to get your thoughts on the Andrade versus Carmelo match.
I don't know if it's just me or maybe I'm watching my my TV on silent, but I don't really think there was a reaction there for either one of those guys either. Two good wrestlers. They had a good match, of course. Andrade picked up the win. He's a speed champion, which means almost absolutely nothing. I mean, you have a belt that you only acknowledge on the, I don't even know what that speed thing or whatever it's called. I don't even know where they wrestle at or what time that comes.
I think it's on X. It's on X, I think.
Oh, it's on X. Okay, that's probably why. But yeah, the title is pretty okay, but we'll never get to see it unless you watch it on X. And again, I don't watch X or Twitter or X Twitter or Twitter X or I don't know if, Twitter went to prison and, became Muslim and became Twitter X or however that works. But
just X.
Just X. Okay. I didn't know. I don't know if it was like X Pop or anything of that nature. But I don't watch it. But yeah, like I said, pretty good match and I wish they would do more with Andrade. Hopefully they do more with Carmelo Hayes in the future. He's a young star. What did you think of the match?
Yeah, I had the same reaction where it's like, nobody cares, and they're not getting a lot of reaction. And even at Money in the Bank, they got no reaction.
Yeah,
I don't know which one. But Carmelo not getting no reaction either. It's a problem. And that's the problem is that Carmelo's a young guy. Like I think he should be one of their top stars in the future. But they got to fix that whole no reaction thing. That's the problem.
Well, that's what managers were for. You know what I mean? And they used to have managers back especially in the 90s, or they were swarming in the 80s and 90s and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes guys who can't really talk or get over that you want to get over, you give them a mouthpiece. So,
I think but the problem with Carmelo is he could talk. I think he's a good talker. I don't think he's a terrible talker.
He could talk, but
I think he got
fans right now.
That's the problem. Because he's a good talker. I think he got a good look to him. He's a hell of a wrestler, really athletic, but I don't know why he's just not connecting. That's the problem that I got. I like the guy.
Small guy too. I think
that's the problem.
Yeah, like visually, like when I seen him versus Randy Orton, I said, damn, Randy Orton's wrestling a child here. I said, man,
that's the example I was about to use too.
Man, I'm like, Randy Orton is wrestling a 12-year-old. I'm not trying to knock the guy, that's just how natural, he is, height and weight and everything like that, and that's fine, but it's just like, it doesn't help for me guys when you place them with guys that, kind of tower over them like that. He needs to be with, guys, closer to his size, until he becomes a major star, because they did it with Rey Mysterio. They, obviously Rey Mysterio was a small kind of roster, basically, outside of Hornswoggle at that point in time, but talking about current day, Rey's a big star, so it's just like he wrestled all different kind of sizes. I don't think Melo is even close to that level yet, so to protect him and to make him look something serious, just keep having the rest of the guys that's like under 6'3" or something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe under 6'2", and go from there.
The problem is I don't know how many of these guys are even at over 6'1" in that company. Because we were talking about Braun Breaker. I think Braun legit is probably like 5'10" or 5'11".
Yeah, probably. Yeah, something like that.
Like, a lot of these guys are not that big no more. But that's the problem. They got to fix that, because I think Carmelo, I think he's a star in the making. But talking about from one star to another star, you saw the Logan Paul LA Knight contract signing?
I actually didn't, but I can just imagine, both guys can talk. You know what? Props to Logan Paul, right? Because he is pretty much the only guy that came out of nowhere. And, a lot of these celebrity guys or whatever the case is, they have their one-off matches. He's doing an amazing job as a wrestler. The guy's a natural. He's naturally gifted, bro. Like, he is one of the fastest rising stars in the history of the wrestling business. And I'm not talking about like a Brock Lesnar or a John Cena. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying from a guy who came out of nowhere, who probably did absolutely no training, and probably never even thought about being a wrestler. He comes in, he has his first match, he does extremely well, and then he just has matches after matches. And every single match he's been a part of has been great. So he's never even had a bad match. So, and his promos are great too. And LA Knight's promos are amazing. Say what you want, if he's like The Rock or not, whatever. The promos are great.
Yeah, look, I like the contract signing, and I think both of those guys, right? I think they're both stars. Logan, I'm a big Logan fan. I like Logan. I'm a big Jake Paul fan too. But there's something to be said when you're just that athletic and that gifted, right? Because he boxed. He's a hell of a wrestler. I don't even think he watched wrestling growing up, right? Let alone train for it. And he's just a gifted human being. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's a problem. And I'm happy that they got him. I don't know how much longer he's going to be with WWE, but he's a star. He's a legit star. He's bringing in, views. And, they got the whole Prime deal. I'm pretty sure because of him, right?
I was just about to say that is Prime.
Like, he's gifted, and you can't really knock him because he's one of the biggest stars that they got. And I know a lot of people are not, he had like 2 title defenses or whatever. It's like, bruh, he's a star. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Now,
you can't take away from him.
Now, you can't take nothing away from him. But now, if you didn't see that, I'm pretty sure you've seen the Bloodline continuing their path of destruction because they're not playing. They're really not playing.
Wait a second, real quick. So they had a contract signing. Did anybody go through a table?
No table. They had a little brawl. LA Knight almost hit his finisher, and Logan Paul just dipped out the ring, pretty smart. And I think LA Knight even made a comment because I think Logan wanted to sign the contract. But LA Knight made a comment saying that, Jake Paul, who's Logan's brother, had the balls to get into the ring with Mike Tyson, but Logan doesn't have the balls to get in the ring with LA Knight. And then that's when Logan ended up signing the contract.
That's funny.
No table spot.
Thank God for that, because you know what? There was always a table spot. But
there was always a table spot.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they kill the brawls off, too. I think, every contract signing should be a little different. Expected and unexpected sometimes. Let those guys just walk off or whatever the case is,
Everything's too expensive. They can't afford to put people through tables every week.
Yeah, I mean, with these prices in the United States for things, yeah, I can imagine how much tables cost. Might have to recycle them.
No, well,
Who knows?
the Bloodline.
The
Leaving
Bloodline
Cody,
2.0.
left Cody Lane. I think they took out Kevin Owens.
Took him out.
Took him out, not to dinner, but they took him out.
They took Kevin Owens out. Well, they took
Man,
Randy
what
Orton
you
out
thinking
last
about
week.
this Bloodline?
I'm actually loving it now. It took some time for it to, because Paul Heyman, he was selling this thing like, oh man, these guys are
Right.
dangerous and this and that. And that was when the first family member came about, after Jimmy was disposed of. You had that guy, and then you had the other guy who's already part of the botch fest already. And
Oh, I don't
Jacob,
do that.
well, I mean, I didn't. He did. I didn't mess up. He did. I mean, Jesus. So, Jacob Fatu, I think the peak of where they're, this whole dangerous thing where, like I said, Paul Heyman was portraying like they were so dangerous and threatening and insane and just out of line. And I think they showcased that as soon as they put Paul Heyman to a table, I think they would just let off the chains at that point in time. And it is showing. And I'm loving every second of it. They took Randy Orton out. They took Kevin Owens out. They put Cody through a table. I'm loving it. I can't wait to see Solo, the new tribal chief.
Damn right.
Yeah, I can't wait to see his match at SummerSlam against Mr. Cody Rhodes.
It's crazy because Jacob Fatu, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him with a cape, but he's the one that's really saving the day for this whole Bloodline.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I did not. Oh, it was hard to watch in the beginning, and Paul. I love Paul, and Paul's doing everything he can, right?
Yeah.
But once Jacob Fatu came, like, nah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And I remember
100%.
we saw a report a couple months ago that's like, oh, they were supposedly, right? Because everything's a rumor, that they're afraid of putting Jacob Fatu with the Bloodline because they didn't want him to overshadow Solo. I don't know if that was real or not, but yeah, he's starting to overshadow. Yeah, he's starting to overshadow not only Solo, but everybody else in that group.
Well, I don't really necessarily agree with him overshadowing Solo because Solo is, okay, so basically put it like this. When the original Bloodline was around, Roman was the top guy and Solo was clearly the guy that everyone was looking at. I think that's the case here with Jacob Fatu and Solo. So I think Solo's in a decent position. I think he's in that Roman position like how it's supposed to be, and Jacob is in that Solo spot or whatever. We're gonna see what happens, but it's just more destructive. I think Jacob is just the more the athletic one out of the entire family that's with the company right now. I think he's the one that you look out for. You know what I mean? I think he's the better of everybody else because his intensity, his aggressiveness, his facial,
Bro, he a
that he
beast.
has on
That's he a beast.
Oh, 100%. He's a beast. He's an animal. He's a monster. He's a wrecking ball. He's that guy. He's that guy. So SummerSlam is right around the corner.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is
We're
right
getting
around the
closer.
corner. We're getting closer. And now we have to talk about it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, last week we got a little cut off. Not quite sure. Time ran a little bit longer than expected. I guess we got a little bit, beside ourselves. We got a little excited and things of that nature.
It was a time limit.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. I suppose if we would have worked for AEW, there would have been no time limit. You know, we would have been able to go on forever and ever. We'd have been able to podcast forever, but we couldn't. We got shut out. But last week was a birthday celebration that I wanted to bring up. Cito, whose birthday was it last week?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. Well, that comes with getting older, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Cito's birthday, so please give us some happy birthdays in the comments. Belated ones, of course, because it was last weekend. And, yeah, we got kicked off the air by the network. The network is something else, man. The network is something else. But without further ado, we need to talk about part 2 of our SummerSlam moments. We left off with 2003, the second ever Elimination Chamber match. Before there was an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen, they were just matches on certain events like Survivor Series and SummerSlam and so forth and so on and whatever else. But now we are going to pick up where we left off at. We are going to talk about SummerSlam 2004. Now, I think the best match on there, right? Because I'm looking at the list of the matches in front of me. I'm just going to go ahead and say because of the name value alone. The two best matches on that card, the two best wrestlers on that card, hands down, Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt freaking Angle. My God. That's Kurt Angle. That's Eddie Guerrero. They had great matches.
They would always put on bangers every time they got in the ring with each other.
Absolutely. They couldn't miss.
And it's like, you look back and think about how spoiled we were as fans, that's a match we got countless times in the past.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The only thing that's shameful, we all have to leave planet Earth at some point in time or another, but Eddie obviously left us way too soon. Eddie Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels match would have been something to watch, but we never got a chance to ever have that match. That would have been a dream match for sure. They were both very, very sharp in the ring. They just those were two guys that could flow and just do their thing. But speaking of guys that could flow and do their thing, 2005, we got to bring up Eddie Guerrero again. And it seems like, we talked about Liv and Rhea Ripley, much like the last match, that Two Daddy Dom, he had his poppy and his two poppies, fighting in the ladder match for some custody over Dominic Mysterio. We have Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero in the ladder match for custody of Dom. I think I said that a couple of different times. How do you like those apples? But the same thing is going to happen with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. They're going to have a ladder match, and it's going to be for the custody papers of Dominic Mysterio. This guy's an orphan, okay? And somebody's always fighting over this kid. And there always has to be a ladder. But you know what? I give the WWE credit because had they picked up Vince Russo, these matches would have been on the pole. Dominic Mysterio on the pole would have been something to see.
Don't do that to Russo. Don't do that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It would have been Dominic Mysterio on the forklift match.
Oh.
Bro.
I'll tell you right now, I remember that whole storyline with Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. With the whole custody, and I thought that it was creepy when I was younger. I'm like, this is a little creepy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was so uncomfortable.
I mean, yeah. I
But
mean, the kid had blonde hair. He's not a natural blonde. What's up with
no,
that?
it was again, and and I think it's going to be a common thread with Eddie Guerrero. But most of the times you put him in a ring with somebody, it's just going to be it's not going to be a bad match. You need to do a lot to have had a bad match with Eddie Guerrero, and Rey Mysterio and Eddie always put on bangers as well.
Man, since the days of WCW, for all those older wrestling fans that watch WCW, 1997 Halloween Havoc, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. What a great match! It's one of their better matches, one of their best matches that they've ever had. But whatever pay-per-view they was on, whatever Nitro they wrestled on, whatever WWE match, SmackDown, whatever match they were in, it was just always great to see them. And I believe that Rey Mysterio has always bested Eddie Guerrero every step of the way. So there's that. But moving on, we got to talk about 2006. D-Generation X versus Shawn Michaels. I mean, what's the daisy? D-Generation X has Shawn Michaels in it. So it was D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H versus the McMahons. Stephanie and Linda McMahon. These gender matches are just crazy. Did you see Shawn Michaels super kick Linda McMahon and Stephanie McMahon? It was incredible. Like, why would he do such a thing?
If anybody can get a decent match out of those two, it'd be Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, no, I mean...
No, don't do
Linda
it.
McMahon
Yes, it
took
would
that
be.
stunner
Don't do that.
Linda McMahon did not do so well with that Stone Cold Stunner. But
that's fine. Shawn's an animal. He got it.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah.
But no, but in all seriousness, no, that wasn't the match that happened. It was Shawn Michaels and Triple H versus Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I did not watch the 2006 SummerSlam. I didn't watch it. So I don't know what happened in this matchup. And I don't think I'm ever going to go back and watch certain things because I think the old D-Generation X is just, I wasn't a fan of it. I get the nostalgia of it all, but it's just like, D-Generation X was the 90s, and that's where it should have stayed. I don't think it had any real place in 2006, especially in the PG era. D-Generation X was, it was a group that defied, it's not supposed to be placed in the PG era. So just like, it didn't make sense to put a rebel group that did so many things, that was just out of line and crazy. And then you put a born-again Christian Shawn Michaels back into a group where, it's supposed to be two rebel outlaws, just terrorizing the entire company. And they tried, and I guess to an extent there was some success there because of the name, but I wasn't a fan of it. And I was glad when it came to an end, quite frankly.
Well, if I remember correctly, I feel like this is coming off of WrestleMania 22, because I think in the beginning of 2006, I think Shawn was having a feud with the McMahon. I think that Vince distracted him in the Royal Rumble and Shane tossed him out, which ended up leading to Shawn versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. And that's when Shawn, when he was going to come off the ladder, he did the DX suck it chop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was kind of the foreshadowing that they were going to get back together. Then I think Backlash, they had the rematch where Shawn Michaels had his tag team partner, but it wasn't Triple H.
Wait. Let me think. Who could have been? Was it Marty Jannetty?
It wasn't Marty Jannetty.
Was it Sensational Sherry?
It wasn't Sherry.
Was it Big Daddy Cool Diesel?
No.
Was it Psycho Sid?
Nope.
Well, I have no idea. Who could it have been?
This is terrible. I was not happy when they did this when I was younger, and I still look at it and I'm like, ugh. but his teammate was supposed to be God, right?
Did he show up?
Yeah, you for real?
I mean, if his teammate is God, did he show up? Was he present?
I don't think so. Right. So we'll just skip over the backlash match.
Yeah.
Then shortly after.
You damn right we were.
Shortly
That
after.
was terrible.
Shortly after, I believe the Spirit Squad. Do you remember when they were a thing?
Oh, yeah, the male cheerleaders.
They were attacking Shawn, and I think they actually put him out. And then I think they started attacking Triple H, and then Shawn returned, and then they did the whole DX thing.
Yeah, Spirit Squad, Jesus.
Underwhelming.
Yeah. Nikki, King, Jimmy. I don't even know their names.
Oh, I think it was Kenny, Nikki, Mikey. Nah, I don't remember the rest of them.
Everybody's names have an E sound at the end of it. Benny, Minnie, Mickey, Denny's, whatever. All those guys came out and they were nothing afterwards anyway.
I think,
Nikki.
You stupid. Well, you know what? I think it's fair to say WCW had the better cheerleaders.
Who were the cheerleaders in WCW? You talking about the Nitro Girls?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Unless you prefer the Spirit Squad.
The Nitro Girls. Have you ever heard of OnlyFans?
Yeah.
The Nitro Girls are the grandmothers of OnlyFans. Ladies and gentlemen, they're the grandmothers of OnlyFans. Ladies and gentlemen, in case if you're too young or don't never watched WCW, if you ever watched WCW, you know who the Nitro Girls were. They were the grandparents of all these OnlyFans model girls right about now. So there it is. I just gave you some information that you didn't know. So that is called FYI for your information. All right? If you need more, follow us at Wrestling with Idiots. We are now on Amazon Music, by the way. Thank you for that. And we are also on iHeartRadio. Thank you also, by the way. We are very grateful. So please, like, share, subscribe. Moving along, we got 2007 SummerSlam. We got John Cena versus the Viper, Randy Orton, for the WWE Championship.
Wasn't the Viper quite yet, though.
No, I think it was what was Randy Orton in 2007? Was he with Legacy?
Legacy wasn't a thing until like 08, I think, or 09.
Okay. So I don't think he was the Legend Killer. I think it was just Randy Orton.
I think it's just weird phase in between.
That could have been. But anyway, John Cena won that match between the two.
No, really? John Cena won? Get out of here.
John Cena won. Well, John Cena won. Yeah, so John Cena won. And you know what's crazy? That was the first meeting. That was the first one-on-one meeting between the two at that SummerSlam. It's very interesting because John Cena also had his very first match against Batista at SummerSlam, and that was what I believe.
08, I think.
Was it 08? Maybe. It could have been 08. Probably. Something like that. But anyway, John Cena defeated Randy Orton. Those were the Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin of this era. Yeah, I mean, it's debatable if you want to debate it because Batista was, the man for quite a while during this era, but,
He was.
Yeah, he was. So, however you feel about it, it's up to you. Again, get in the comments. Was Randy Orton and John Cena the Rock and Austin of the PG era of the 2006, 7, 8, and all that other good stuff? Or was it Batista and John Cena? You let us know in those comments. I don't know how to read very well, so make sure the writing is big. Make sure the font is big and colorful too. Colors. 2008, we've seen Edge versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. Man, let me tell you, you know what? I gotta do it. Somebody hold me back.
Don't do it.
Hold me back. I gotta do it. Tony Khan said that Edge's best run out of his entire career was happening in AEW before he decided to jump off of a cage and break his legs and all that other good stuff. But I don't know, man. Like, that is the craziest thing that I've ever heard. If the man could acknowledge that Edge had a legendary career in the WWE before he got to AEW, he didn't even wrestle in AEW for a year. Edge had great matches. He had great, memorable feuds, and one of them was against The Undertaker. How? I can't wrap my head around it. What? You know, there are certain mysteries of the world that just can't be solved. Not even Scooby-Doo can solve that mystery, okay? Because, yeah, obviously there's something wrong. And now you know why you're wrestling with idiots. I'll tell you that much. But anyway, the match happened. Edge versus The Undertaker. SummerSlam 2008. Undertaker won that one. I think that was the one where Undertaker chokeslammed good old Edge off the top of the cage. Off the top of the ladder. He did, and, you know, he went through the ring. I did not like that finish because it looked just so phony, because we've seen so many guys fall off the ladder and hit the ring, but nobody ever went through it until this point in time. Did not like that spot. How did you feel about that spot?
But how many times did the person that fell off the ladder and went through or went onto the mat was getting chokeslammed by someone who was dead like The Undertaker? Let's be fair, right? Just saying.
That's true. You got a point.
Right.
You got a point.
I mean, of course I do. If I remember correctly, I felt like they did this because wasn't he about to leave? Or he was thinking about leaving at this point?
Edge?
Yeah, if I remember correctly. Because I don't think he came back until like November.
It could have been.
I think, yeah. Now thinking about it, I definitely think that was the case because I think he returned at Survivor Series with a beard. And I think they were doing a whole storyline that he was attacking Jeff Hardy or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, he was actually out for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was good with it, and I think that was a rivalry, right? Like almost a year-long rivalry.
Undertaker
Up to that point, I know they had I know they had a couple pay-per-view matches that year. I think they had the WrestleMania main event that year too, right?
I'm not quite sure. It could have been. I just remember Batista, Edge, and The Undertaker being heavily involved with one another, and I don't think did they ever even have a triple threat match? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. But we got to move on. We got to move on to your favorite wrestler. This is in 2009. Right?
He was my favorite at that time, actually, if we're going to be honest.
Yes, we have the tables and ladders and chairs match. Oh, my. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh, my. We're talking about Jeff Rehab Hardy versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, you know who won that match? TikTok. CM Punk won that match against Mr. Jeffrey Hardy. You know, those two, I thought their feud didn't last too long. I thought those two had pretty good chemistry with one another.
Yeah.
It just never lasted long. Not as long as I would have liked.
Right, because I felt like their stuff started after Judgment Day, I think. I think it might have been after Judgment Day, around that time. But yeah, I thought it could have went longer. I mean, they were having a lot of matches. I know the title was swapping back and forward for a little. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny because as wrestling fans, you see certain things, right? And you
Right.
remember when the Mega Powers exploded?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And Randy Savage was the heel, right?
Let me ask you a question real quick. I don't think about that. I just need to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Can we get a Macho Man impression?
I can't do one to save my life.
You can't do one to save your life?
I don't think I can.
I think the only thing I can do with Macho Man right now. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that was pretty good. I'm not even gonna hold you.
That's about it. That's about it. You know what? If I drink a couple beers, and I get, I can't get drunk off of beers, but if I drink a bunch of beers and get some alcohol on my system, maybe I could do it a lot better than what I just did. But, yeah.
Well, so you remember Mega Powers exploded, right?
Yep.
And you know Randy Savage came off like the heel.
Mm-hmm. We know who the real heel is
Right.
nowadays.
No, but if you really look at it, was he really the heel? Because like even when I watched it, when I was younger and I rewatched everything, I'm like, why is he the heel in this whole thing? I never understood that. I
Well,
thought
because
Hogan was the heel.
well, Hogan is a heel in real life, as you can now see. I mean, obviously. I mean, come on. We all know why he's a heel in real life. He's one of those guys where it's just like, you're a Hulkamaniac as a kid, and they always tell you, never meet your heroes. And ladies and gentlemen, if Hulk Hogan was ever your hero, please just know there's no need to meet him because of all the things that's been said about him and talked about since the internet has become so popular. Why in the world would you be a Hulk Hogan fan? He's a heel in real life, I think.
Right. Well,
Not
look,
the greatest guy in
when
the
you
world.
look back at it, Savage he shouldn't have been the heel. In this situation with CM Punk and Jeff Hardy, I don't think CM Punk should have been the heel either. Because if you remember correctly, Jeff Hardy beat Edge for the world title. CM
Mm-hmm.
Punk cashed in, and then the fans turned against him.
Right, and CM Punk was a fan favorite at the time.
Right,
And
he
you're right,
was.
they did turn on him. Yes, they did.
And again, they turned on him for cashing in on Jeff Hardy, which is hypocritical, because when he
Mm-hmm.
cashed in the year before on Edge, everybody loved it.
Yep.
And in that whole thing, I'm like, I don't think CM Punk was the heel in this whole thing. So it was very similar. That's why I brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, he took advantage of an opportunity. That's what he was supposed to do. CM Punk, I believe he was the first person ever to cash in 2 years in a row, correct?
Mm, 2 years in a row? Yes. He was the first
Yeah.
person to ever win 2 years in a row. Edge was the first person to cash in 2 years, though.
Oh, yeah. All right, moving on. Well, apparently his stuff in AEW has been better than WWE, and so whatever. All right, blah, blah, blah. We got the Nexus versus Team WWE back in 2010. Now, you told me off the record, meaning off the podcast,
Yeah.
your favorite group, your favorite faction of all time was the Nexus. And
I never said that.
I said, best friend, I need you to pee in this cup. We need to take you to go get some serious help. Here, we have one of those, I forgot what it's called, but you get all the family and friends together and you go to a place, maybe like a living room or a doctor's
Like an
office.
intervention?
There you go. Do you
There you
remember?
go, yeah.
And we tried
I
to,
remember because you
yeah,
remind me of somebody. Forgetting
yeah,
everything.
because,
Well, we're not going to go there.
because you said that Nexus was your favorite faction of all time, but you also said that David Otunga was going to be a future star in the making. And, this is what you told me. You remember you told me this?
Which one was David Otunga? Oh, was that Jennifer Hudson, man?
Yeah, that
Okay.
guy. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you.
He was in I Love New York, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, okay.
And unfortunately, New York didn't love him because I don't think he was the top pick.
That's
But
because she don't love herself, Jay.
yeah, hey, got no fighting dog. But listen, this one right here, you got John Cena, who was the captain of the team. He also invited John Morrison, R-Truth, to join in. He also got Edge and Christian, who are Edge and Chris Jericho. I'm sorry I got it wrong. I do not believe that all Canadians look alike. They all look alike. Edge, Chris Jericho, Bret the Hitman Hart. Very disappointing. And the
what was he
return
hitting at that time?
I don't want to get kicked off this podcast. Nor do I want to get kicked in the head by Goldberg. Anyway, because, Bret Hart does hate Bill Goldberg. Anyway, Daniel Bryan had returned after getting fired. For real. Not for fake, not for phony, but for real, boys and girls, because he decided to take a belt off of somebody. Okay, you can't do that. If you take a belt off of somebody, that means their pants will drop. All right, and then their undergarments will show. And we don't know how long they've been wearing those undergarments, so there may be a stain or not maybe a stain. I don't know, not quite sure. But then that sick little vegan man, Daniel Bryan, decided to take his disgusting erotic fantasies out on a poor individual and wrap the belt around the neck of somebody and choke them.
Mhm.
Disgusting.
I think it didn't help that he spit on Cena either.
And he spat on Cena. You know why? Because vegans, okay, from what I hear, they have no good taste. Okay, they have no taste. They're eating mystery meat and all kind of mystery stuff. I should not talk. I am a big guy. Maybe I should go vegan, but I'm not. But anyway, John Cena won the match for his team after getting DDT'd and Canadian destroyed and all the stuff that AEW does nowadays. John Cena kicked out of it all. And it was down to two men. John Cena ended up winning that match for his team.
Yeah.
Because why not? He is Super Cena. He is John Cena.
Yeah.
You believe to this day that Nexus should have won that match. Why?
I do. Yeah. No, I think that killed the group that they lost. They had to win. Again, I don't know where you were at when this was happening, if you were a fan of them or not. I was a fan of
home.
I thought, right. Well, again, I was a fan of Nexus. I thought the way they debuted as a unit was extremely, crazy, especially when you look at it now. It might go down as one of the best debuts because they did a lot of damage, and everything looked so well. It was well done. And I thought it was a strong group, and then they lost the match. And then everything started just going downhill. There was no way that they were going to recover after that loss.
They didn't need to. They needed to lose. I'm glad that they lost. I didn't really see too much.
There is no way they needed to lose. You are bugging out.
Absolutely.
You are bugging.
No. Because let me ask you a question. In that specific group, not including Daniel Bryan because he wasn't involved in the match on the Nexus end, which one of those members of Nexus became World Heavyweight Champion?
Oh, no. I don't think any of them did. Because, again, they all pretty much got screwed over once they lost.
No,
I think if they had not... No, that's not true at all. That is not true at all. No, you're just saying stuff to say stuff. That is not true at all.
Well, again, you said that David Otunga was your favorite one, so... he was a former tag team champion, I believe, and, he wasn't any good.
Well, there you go. Well, now, my favorite person out of the group was Wade Barrett.
And where is he now?
No, he's commentary. He's on commentary now.
Where he
belongs. No, I think we just went over. We went over that loss pretty much derailed him as being the world champion.
You stop it. There's plenty of losses that people take, and it doesn't really hurt their career. It just depends because he had a very long career in WWE and multiple time Intercontinental champion at that. You know what I mean? So he did go somewhere, but he just didn't go to the top of the food chain. I don't think he was meant for that spot. I think there could have been a couple of guys that should have never made the top of the food chain. Should have never been world heavyweight champion or WWE champion. To be honest with you, but that's for another later. That's for another episode. We got to go through the rest of this like diarrhea. We're talking about now, and I hated this match. And I didn't hate the match because I didn't feel the match wasn't any good. We're talking about the 2011 Randy Orton Christian World Heavyweight Championship match, no holds barred. I hated this match because I felt this was the burial of Christian. Christian had won the World Heavyweight Championship because Edge could not hold the belt any longer.
Right.
So Christian won it in a match against Alberto Del Rio. There was a ladder
I think
match,
at Extreme Rules.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a ladder match. Then Christian lost it on a Tuesday taping of SmackDown. So that means he didn't hold the belt very long. At that time, these pay-per-views, they weren't called PLEs.
Like 2 days.
I believe. Yeah, it was only 2 days. Because then SmackDown aired on a Thursday, I believe. So he
No, it was
lost
Friday Night SmackDown. But still, it don't matter.
Okay.
So it was still, there was no need to take it off from that phone.
There was no need to take it off. And then when he won it back, the way he won it back, I think he spat at Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton got himself DQ'd, which there was a stipulation that Randy Orton got himself DQ'd, that Christian would win the belt. Christian only had it for about a month, maybe 3 weeks later or whatever. And then he dropped it in a great match against Randy Orton at SummerSlam. And the fact that, just like you mentioned earlier, right, who's a real heel in this? And I'm not going to say Randy Orton was a real heel. I'm going to say the booking and Vince McMahon were the real heels at this because there was no reason for Christian to turn heel. I remember Chris Jericho tried to defend this nonsense by, saying that fans don't understand what's going on and they're going to have something bigger and better for Christian. No, they really didn't. Because Mr. Jericho, this was Christian's last reign as the World Heavyweight Champion. He never got one again after this. I think he was involved in maybe, a few matches afterwards that involved the World Heavyweight title, but he never won it after this. This was the final time with the belt. This was just, I was so angry about this because he finally got to a level of relevancy after being so great in TNA, came back, switched over, came back to the WWE and made something of himself, and it was very short-lived. Randy Orton did not need to have that belt at the time. They could have had Christian be champion for a lot longer and more times than that, but whatever.
Yeah, that was disheartening how they took the belt from him.
Yeah. I need a Kleenex. I'm hurt bad. Anyway, we got to move on to 2012. Well, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H occurred. And I was, I'm not going to lie to you. For whatever reason or another, I'm not going to do that. For whatever reason or another, I just did not care about Brock Lesnar versus Triple H at all.
Okay.
I thought it was insane to portray like Brock Lesnar had broken Triple H's arm before the match. And you know what I mean? And then he comes back to have a match to have his arm messed up again, and the game tapped out to the beast and left the fans wondering, this is the end of Triple H, and of course it wasn't. But, you had the match. Triple H lost to the Kimura lock. And, I just never really cared for their feud. How did you feel about this match or this feud?
Well, I remember, I think I was still in high school when this happened. So I was excited to see Brock Lesnar back in WWE, right?
Okay.
But as soon as I saw that him and Triple H were wrestling at SummerSlam, I already knew, I'm like, okay, so Lesnar's winning, but they're probably going to have another, 2 to 3 matches because Triple H got to get a win in.
Of course.
So at that point, I already knew, I'm like, all right. Yeah, so I'm like, for the next year or so, Brock Lesnar's not going to be doing nothing but feuding with Triple H. So I really wasn't excited.
I don't think there was a match that Triple H didn't have to go over. And, I mean, for Christ's sake, he lost to Batista 3 times in a row, and then they have a final match at WrestleMania, and Triple H had to win that one. It was perfect.
Well, I think Batista wanted him to win. I think Batista wanted him to win. I don't think Triple H was like, I'm going over on you.
Well, no,
it makes a difference.
No, you don't have to have that happen at all. You know, thank God I was not around to see that match because it was garbage anyway, and yeah, it made no sense. That's also like when Triple H lost. Triple H is the only man to face The Undertaker 3 times at WrestleMania. They never like to acknowledge that in WrestleMania 17, Triple H took on Biker Taker. It happened, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real thing. Look it up. Don't be fooled by the 2 matches that they had in a row at WrestleMania, because Triple H is the only man to lose to The Undertaker 3 times, because he's the only man to take on The Undertaker 3 times at a WrestleMania. Look it up. It's a real thing. Triple H also had to go over The Undertaker in one of those Saudi Arabia, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was, but that was also a thing that angered me. And then what happened after that, they brought poor Shawn Michaels out of retirement, and they brought a bloated Kane, an out-of-shape, broken-out Undertaker, and then they had a tag team match where everyone was all messed up and old and bent out of shape. And then, of course, Triple H had to win in that match as well. It was terrible. Moving on. This was a shock to me. I didn't understand this because pretty much Triple H, not Triple H, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on Triple H. In 2013, John Cena challenged his opponent, and it was Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was out of nowhere, in my opinion, red hot. I didn't know he was that hot at this point in time, but he was.
He was.
And he was. And then he won the belt, and then he lost the belt. He lost the belt because Triple H, he had to get involved again. He was the referee of this match. He pedigreed Bryan, which allowed Randy Orton to take his Money in the Bank briefcase, cash in, and ruin Daniel Bryan's big moment by defeating Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, walking away with the WWE Championship.
Yeah, so I remember this happening because I remember I was actually in high school at this point, and I thought it was obvious what was going to happen. You know what I mean? Because I think Cena had messed up his elbow, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
I think his elbow was messed up. And I remember I was watching it with my nephew, and I told him, I'm like, yeah, so what's probably going to happen is Cena's either going to win, and then Orton's going to cash in, and Triple H is going to screw him over, or Daniel Bryan might win, and then get screwed over by Triple H. But my thought was, exactly what happened. But I was thinking that they were going to reform Evolution, which did not happen. Instead, they had that great authority angle.
Yeah, Triple H does a lot of screwing of people, including Stephanie McMahon, but, it happens. No, he's screwing everybody. He screwed over Daniel Bryan. He screwed over The Rock. He screwed over Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a real screwy guy. You can't trust him. You can't trust a guy like Triple H.
What was 2014?
2014? Before I get into that, I wanted to let you know that I was about to create the worst of SummerSlam matches or moments.
Ooh.
Right? And
okay.
Now that I'm going down the list of what was supposed to be a list of the greats, do you remember this one? Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I would like to forget, but it actually happened, and it was one of the worst matches of all time. You didn't like it either, okay? Nobody liked this match. You cut it out.
I'll tell you right now. Maybe I'm a little messed up, but when I watched this match, I watched it with a good friend of mine who was a John Cena fan.
That poor
And
guy.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, he was tight. He was so tight because it was just suplex, suplex, suplex. And he's looking at me. He's like, yo, Cena's gonna hit him with an AA and it's gonna be done. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so, bro.
Yeah, no.
But I didn't think it was gonna be one sided like that, you know.
Nobody did.
But
I don't think anybody did.
but I was cool with it because I'm like, Brock Lesnar, he should be booked like a force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? So I thought what they did was fine. I really didn't have an issue with it. Clearly, it wasn't a tremendous match, but as a statement, I thought it was fine. And then everything that Brock ended up, because this was off his WrestleMania 30 victory, right? Over
Pretty
The Undertaker?
much. Yes, it was.
So I'm thinking there's no other, he's got to dominate and show, I ended the streak, I'm going to just dominate this whole company. And he did. And I was fine with it.
Yeah, but 16 suplexes, man, that's pretty excessive, you know what I mean? That's a lot. That's a lot of suplexes.
I liked it.
16?
Hard worker.
Hard worker. This guy, I swear. Anyway, that was that. Now we have to move on to 2015. 2015. Let's talk about this one. This is when I knew that Seth freaking Rollins was the man because he wore all white. He took on John Cena, and Seth Rollins was a double champion after he beat John Cena. And, John Cena is one of those guys that definitely takes one for the team sometimes because he does take losses. And,
it took him a while to get there, but he took losses.
Yeah, he definitely did. So he took one here against Seth freaking Rollins. I didn't understand the Jon Stewart thing.
Oh, come on. Everybody understood it.
Nobody understood it.
Come on. He was a Ric Flair fan.
Nobody understood that. It was a great match. Oh, no, you stop. You stop. Seth Rollins won that match, double champion. Seth Rollins always had some of the best ring gear of all time. I like it. And, yeah.
Well, I was happy to see, as soon as I saw that he came out dressed as the White Ranger, I'm like, it's a wrap. There's no way you lose tonight.
Oh, no. Only good guys.
But no, Seth Rollins, damn right. And if you're beating John Cena in 2015, you're a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
At least in my book, you are.
Absolutely.
No, and I think this shows, those Shield guys, right? They all just took the company over. And this is another example of it. I was happy with the match. I was happy with the outcome. I think Seth Rollins has always been that guy that he's going to just put on a tremendous match and give it everything he got. You know what I mean? I was shocked when the whole thing happened with Jon Stewart, but I started jumping up in the air because I wanted Rollins to win.
You say the Shield dies. I wish my eyes could have been shielded because I went on social media and I don't know if you saw what I saw. I think you saw what I saw.
I don't think so. Oh, I think I did. Yeah.
You did. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know where you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, did he do that when he did that? Did he do that last month or was it this month?
I don't know. I don't know, and I know what you're getting at, ladies and gentlemen. For all the listeners out there, we're talking about Jon Moxley. I don't even know who that was he kissed. Was it Timothy Thatcher?
I don't know who it was.
Jon Moxley basically cheated on his wife with a man because he kissed a man in the middle of a ring. A nice, good long one at that. This guy is supposed to be the rebel, supposed to be a tough guy rebel, bleeding all over the place, thumbtacks, exploding AEW rings, very vicious. If you've seen it, please watch it. He was involved in an exploding ring in AEW. You can't miss it. Please go back and watch it. It was the most devastating thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was crazy. But Jon Moxley kissed a man and he liked it. And then in 2016, John Cena took on the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles, man, there's only one person that AJ Styles wrestled and where AJ Styles did not look good. And it wasn't because of AJ Styles. It was mainly because of the other guy. You know who that other guy is? He's one of your favorite wrestlers. Oh, Karrion Kross. Because AJ Styles wrestles everybody, and if anybody
No. Listen, no. That whole Karrion Kross, my favorite wrestler, that ends right now. Not a real thing. Never will be a real thing. No. I'm not gonna have you besmirching my name.
Oh, you stop it. You tell me.
No, you cut it out.
Oh, you told me that Karrion Kross is your favorite wrestler.
I have never said that. You're starting to scare me. Because you're tripping.
I don't even think they have Karrion Kross merchandise.
Well, who's gonna buy it? I'm not even trying to be a jerk, but for real.
Scarlett. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
Karrion Kross is one fan. Karrion Kross gets fired and goes to AEW. Will they give him a belt too?
I mean, they got about 25 belts on the roster. He's bound to get one.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, AJ Styles took on John Cena at SummerSlam. Those two had incredible matches, but you know what was crazy? And I think this was the first time ever a person kicked out of the Super AA. And this was a classic match, and it happened in the beautiful Brooklyn, New York. And he kicked out of when AJ Styles kicked out of the Super AA. You know what went through my mind? I said, "Oh my God, they're going to make they're going to make AJ Styles a massive star here in this company because there's no way he should have kicked out of that." And he did. No. And then he knocked off John Cena with a phenomenal forearm and won the match.
And look, I think people might laugh at this, but back in the day when AJ was in TNA, this was one of those dream matches. The face of TNA versus the face of WWE. AJ versus Cena. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we got it. And they delivered. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, I think this was prime John Cena. When John Cena, outside of him being the Super Cena character, when John Cena started to have competitive matches with actual wrestlers like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, I think he was at his best. You say what you want about John Cena, man, he had an incredible match against Cesaro on a Monday Night Raw. That was incredible as well. John Cena, when he was United States champion, he was just doing so many great things around the 2015, 16, 17 mark or whatever. I don't know about 17. I don't think he was around that. I don't think he's around that much anymore. But around 14, 15, and 16 and things of that nature, that was Cena at his best, in my personal opinion. Speaking about 2017, we have to get moving. We are talking about the Universal Championship. I've always hated the Universal Championship name. I still hate it. I don't even know if it's a real thing anymore. It's not, thank God. But we have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman versus Samoa Joe. Now, I did enjoy this match, but you know what else? You already know, and like the many people who watch my short, Samoa Joe is also in my top favorite of all time. He's in my top 5. I just always enjoyed Samoa Joe's work, and I felt Samoa Joe should have been a WWE champion at some point in time. However, it didn't happen. He was a 2-time NXT champion. He was a former United States champion. I wish his career was still being with the WWE to this day. I mean, he had to go up to AEW. The former AEW champion, that's fine. Former Ring of Honor television champion, I believe, under the AEW umbrella and all the other good stuff. So as long as Samoa Joe is a champion somewhere, I think he's championship material. It is what it is. However, this was a good one, and I was kind of surprised because the person who took the pinfall was Roman Reigns.
Yep. Yeah,
he was hit with an F5.
Well, Lesnar's just such a beast, and he was so strong for such a long time that the F5 should be a finisher that you don't really kick out of, right?
Right.
So you're not going to hear me say, well, that's a bad thing. No, if you're going to finish a match and Lesnar's going over, the F5 should be the move, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought it was a good match. It's a shame because I felt like Samoa Joe, if he got to WWE a couple years earlier, he could have been a much bigger star. So I think he's so good. Such a good wrestler. Very witty. I think he's a good promo. Very clever. Real fast.
Oh, do you remember
when
he destroyed Jeff Hardy on the mic? Like he did on twice on SmackDown?
Yeah, I do remember.
It was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, man, just those jokes about Jeff Hardy, and his alcohol problems was just, it's kind of messed up, but it was also funny. You know, he told Jeff Hardy, keep quiet while I'm sharing with the group. And Randy Orton just breaks character, and he just dies laughing. I love Randy Orton for breaking character. And he does it all the time, which makes it even funnier because that was hilarious. Thank you, Joe, for the great moments that we've had of you in the WWE. Too bad it just didn't last long. But you know what's crazy? I really enjoyed Braun Strowman's work around this time because he was a guy, and we don't give him enough credit because he kind of made Roman Reigns look very good. With his matches, he was just going after Roman Reigns back and forth, and they had their feud, which I thought was a very good feud. It was the typical baby face versus the monster heel, and those two went back and forth. Even Braun Strowman, I thought Braun Strowman was going to beat Brock Lesnar at one point in time when he still had his little ponytail and everything, his hair. He was just destroying guys at the time, but didn't happen. And
Braun was over at this time.
Yeah, he definitely was, man. He definitely was. Definitely was. But back in 2018, I got to talk about this, right?
Okay.
And I didn't know this until I'm reading it now, but Seth Rollins continued to claim Mr. SummerSlam. I didn't know that. Anyway, he had an Intercontinental title match with Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is he is the most, you know what, he is the most underrated of all time. I think when we speak about wrestlers, when we speak about wrestlers who should have been champion, and Dolph Ziggler was a former world heavyweight champion, 2-time, I believe. It still doesn't matter. He should have been a way bigger star than what he was. You know, the guy was just too effing good to be in a position that he was placed in. And that was I think he's the biggest mistake that they made in the company's history. Hands down. I don't think there's anything closer than that. His career, it seems like a pretty good career based on title wins and everything like that, but it's just like
his achievements,
but the amount of matches he lost, and it was just unnecessary. And he could have been headlining, a lot of major events, but he just didn't. And once again, he loses here against Seth Rollins for the Intercontinental title. Another great match, another great chemistry right there between those two. But real quick, right, before we get to 2019, because we're going to talk about your favorite female wrestler, Trish Stratus. I'm sorry, not Trish Stratus, Charlotte Flair.
Okay.
I was thinking earlier, right, why isn't Bret the Hitman Hart Mr. SummerSlam? We got Mr. WrestleMania, and even to me that's debatable. I feel like it should be The Undertaker. I get Shawn Michaels.
Which is fair. Which is fair.
Right. So it's just like, when I think of Seth Rollins, I don't think of SummerSlam. And maybe I need to look back, but it's just like, I feel like it should have gone to Bret Hart because he made Davey Boy Smith look good. Just like how, they both made each other look good. Let me stop there because Davey Boy Smith was no slouch in the ring. Very underrated guy, but he was so good for his size. Yeah, he was so good for his size. Not in height, of course, because he's, about 5'9", 5'10", whatever he was, but he's so good in the ring. Great match with Bret Hart. And Bret Hart has another good match. He has a match against, Mr. Perfect. I think that was the year before. Yeah, I think the perfect match came before. Another great Intercontinental Championship match. Like Brett he's just done great matches. And not to mention, let's skip all the way to, because we talked about it before. I think it was like 95. He had that match, the steel cage match with Owen Hart, where he's champion at the time. Another great match, another great feud to, put the story to bed between brother and brother versus brother, and Brett wins that one. And then we go to 97. I don't remember what Brett did in 96. I don't think he was there at SummerSlam 96. He wasn't. Because he had lost the title to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Didn't come back until Survivor Series. So in 97, he takes on The Undertaker. Bret Hart, I believe, is the first man to actually wrestle The Undertaker. We actually got to see wrestling from The Undertaker because of Bret Hart, because of Shawn Michaels. But I believe Bret was the first guy to, showcase to the world that The Undertaker could wrestle. So with that being said, I vote Bret Hart as Mr. SummerSlam because of all the things that he's done. My personal opinion.
Right. I don't.
Of course you don't. You'll probably still say it's Shawn Michaels. You're a Shawn Michaels fan.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, what a jerk. Anyway,
we got Trish.
Oh, no. Well, he is a jerk, too.
No.
But
I know he is.
But we got Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair. And, of course, we know who won this matchup. It was obviously Charlotte Flair. Definitely a good match. And man, let me tell you something. This era of women's wrestling is at its all-time high. Yeah, it's at its all-time high. This was a great match. Trish Stratus is one of those female wrestlers that really started out from the bottom to the top. Because she was just a manager, just a good looking woman. And then all of a sudden she got in the ring and started wrestling, and then you find out the chick can actually wrestle. And she's really good. So Trish Stratus, has a match against Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, hands down, no question about it. And what are your thoughts on that match, if you remember it?
No, I thought it was a good match. I was actually excited to see both of them wrestle each other. I think as far as the women's, division, it's a dream match. And it's one of those things where, as a wrestling fan, it's cool to say, you know what? This was a dream match, and guess what? They actually had the match, and guess what? They actually killed it. It was actually a good dream match. It's not one of those dream matches that you're like, could have done without it.
Right. Well, let's move on to 2002. Are you ready for this one?
2020?
2020. Do you remember what happened? The WWE Thunderdome. This was the first event.
That was such a rough era.
Yeah, this was the first event to take place in the WWE Thunderdome, where we had Asuka defeating Sasha Banks, winning the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka is another one of those females, in my personal opinion. She is also one of the best. One of the best female wrestlers to ever do it, hands down. Asuka. Asuka was just, I remember when she was campaigning, nobody's ready for Asuka. I don't feel like Charlotte Flair should have beaten her at WrestleMania. I was not a fan of that. I felt the streak could have kept on going and going and going until maybe sometime later on, but I didn't agree with it. Obviously, they did give it to Charlotte, but, that's neither here nor there. But Asuka, to this day, she's still great. She's still a woman to fear. She's still a woman that can, at any point in time, go on main event and win a title. What do you think about that match? If you remember it, of course, because I don't.
I was going to say, that's not a match I do remember. A lot of that Thunderdome era, I don't remember too much. because I wasn't really paying attention too much.
Right. I don't blame you.
But you know, I did rewatch the match for this, and listen, I've always been really high on Asuka, and I think Asuka's amazing, right? I also don't think she should have lost when she did. I thought they could have stretched that on a little longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, she's a girl that, and I think she's hurt now, but she's always killing it. You know what I mean? She's always doing, you know, what she could do. She's doing her best, and she's really good.
Right.
She's really good. And I don't know, there's just something fascinating about her. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
that's you know, that's where I'll end it for this match. I'll end it right there with her.
All right. Well, we got another one. We have 2001. Tony Khan, please explain. Because Edge had a trilogy match with one, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was submitted. Mr. quote-unquote SummerSlam lost to Edge that year. You know what? And again, I'm not a fan of Edge whatsoever. I said it in my rant episode about Tony Khan, speaking of Edge. Wasn't a fan of Edge, still not a fan of Edge, but I will acknowledge that Edge is a good wrestler. And you could see certain dream matches with Edge on paper, and the guy does deliver. Just because I'm not a fan of somebody doesn't mean I won't acknowledge how great they are in the ring or how good they are. That's just not how it goes. There's just something about them that I just don't like. And I just don't like Edge. Never will. Never have. But Seth Rollins and him, great match. On paper and actually happening. Great stuff. Between the two, another great SummerSlam match.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Tony Khan's comments now that we got another guy that Edge wrestled that is just better than the stuff he's done in AEW?
Yeah, I don't put much stock in whatever Tony says. You know? I stopped listening to Tony when he said, I think the quote was something along the lines of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole debuting was as big as the NWO. That's when I was like, okay, this guy, he's bugging.
Okay, so in 2022, there's a lot of twos in these twos. Roman Reigns
a lot of twos
versus Brock Lesnar for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. If you don't know what that means, I'll read it again. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in undisputed WWE Universal Championship match. That means that both belts are on the line. Brock Lesnar had just lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania that year. Roman Reigns had fused both those belts together, and I believe this was their last match that they've ever had. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, it started out, their entire feud started out very lackluster in the beginning when Roman Reigns was a face, right? Then as time went on, especially when Roman Reigns became a heel and facing Brock Lesnar, it just became so brutal. It became so bad, ASS, A double snake, that it was just like, man, I like this stuff. And this right here, this match right here was very brutal. I mean, we saw it, you know what I mean? We saw this match. It was just brutal. Brock Lesnar brung it. Roman Reigns brung it. You know, the more Roman Reigns is like in vicious Roman Reigns mode, I'm digging it. And it's just like, neither one of those guys walked away without having to take ice baths. You know what I mean? Like, you would have to take an ice bath after that match. You remember the match?
I do remember the match, because I think Lesnar did something with, was it a forklift?
Yeah, Vince Russo drove it in the arena. And
yeah. This was when he was doing his whole Cowboy Brock thing, right?
Yep, Cowboy Brock.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I like them. I like the match. I didn't have an issue with it. I feel like this was peak Roman Reigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, Brock Lesnar, no matter Brock Lesnar, he's such a big star that it's gonna take a lot for you not to care about the guy.
Right.
So, I was fine with it. I do agree that I feel like the later matches were better than the beginning matches
Right.
because I think Roman was just miscast for the longest amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was fine with the match, and I was fine with the outcome as well.
Oh, definitely. Well,
I feel
that
like the outcome can actually ruin a match.
yeah, possibly. But finally, we have reached the ending. No, we haven't. We got one more. We got the 2023 Summerslam, where Cody Rhodes wrestled against Brock Lesnar. This right here, to me, just Cody Rhodes' entire run in the WWE system was just amazing, right? I don't think you kind of compare it to the stuff that he's done in AEW because the stuff that he's done in AEW is so forgettable compared to the stuff that he's done in WWE since he's arrived. The first thing he did was get into a feud with Seth freaking Rollins, and Seth made Cody look good because they had a trilogy and Cody won the entire trilogy. Then Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble, goes against Roman Reigns, loses, goes and has a feud against Brock Lesnar, ends up winning the Rumble again, getting to some old gangster stuff with Roman and The Rock, then going on to WrestleMania again 2 years in a row, 2 years winning the Royal Rumble, 2 years main eventing against the same guy, but this time he finished the story. What a great story it was. But this match right here between Brock and Cody Rhodes, amazing. And the fact is that this guy, Brock Lesnar, is the beast. He's a beast, Brock Lesnar. The fact that Cody Rhodes was able to have a trilogy against Brock Lesnar and beat him twice is amazing. He defeated Brock Lesnar in this great match. What do you have to say about this?
I thought the right person went over. I like the match.
Oh, what do
And
you
I
mean
feel
went
like,
over? Hold on, pal. Hold on, pal. What do you mean went over?
well, right. Well, Cody won the match, right? I
Okay,
felt
there
like
you
that was the right decision.
Okay.
And this was I remember this was the rematch from Backlash, right? Because they had the match from Backlash
They had a match in
when they were in Puerto Rico.
Backlash. That's the one that, because I believe that was the first one. That was the one that Cody won, and then there was another match. I don't remember where the second match took place, but Brock won the second match, and then they had the SummerSlam match.
Were they? I feel like they were doing something where Cody's arm was messed up.
Yeah, something like that, because of course Brock Lesnar
Yeah.
wants to break everybody's arm with the Kimura lock. You know, why
Well,
not?
I mean, come on. Former UFC World Champion. Come on.
Right.
You know, it's crazy because I feel like during the end, right, because we haven't really seen Lesnar, and I don't know if we will, Brock just looked like he was having so much more fun in the ring
Oh,
towards the end.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's going to help the match because, Cody can go, the people love Cody. Brock Lesnar's another guy that people love Brock. And when Brock's having fun and he's in the zone, he's not going to put on a bad match.
Right. No, no, not at all. Because people don't know, and again, there's two different versions of Brock Lesnar. There's the Brock Lesnar where he was wrestling before the whole suplex thing and the whole beast thing back in 2000 and, what was it, 2002? 2002, 2003? Brock was just wrestling. He could wrestle. You know, he had a lot more move sets, a lot more moves in his arsenal. The guy could wrestle. He still can, but, he's definitely showcasing more of a dominant style, with suplexing and just overly powering, his opponents and everything like that, which makes him look even more badass than he did when he first arrived. So, yeah, he was on that night, as he is most nights. But, yeah. But you know what? We're going to have to close this up because we are now out of SummerSlam moments, because on August 3rd will be SummerSlam, and it will be this year, 2024. Hopefully we get some great memories and moments.
You know what? What do you think the match of the night is going to be?
So you see, here's the thing about this, right? The match card isn't official yet with some of these matches. We officially have Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. We officially have Cody Rhodes versus Solo. We officially have Logan versus LA Knight. But the match that I don't think is official just quite yet, and we're hearing rumors about it, I want to see Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, because oh yeah, and also you got Gunther versus Damien Priest. That's also locked in. But we know there's going to be a Drew versus CM Punk. There has got to be. However, we just don't know what Seth Rollins' role is going to be in it, because I don't think any wrestling fan could possibly see this match not happening without Seth Rollins being involved, either being in a triple threat match or a special guest referee or a special for something. You know what I mean? So whatever happens, I'm looking for that match more than any other match. I'm telling you now, that match right there is going to be good. Again, another great booking decision by the WWE, because CM Punk is a guy who was out for a good amount of time, and all they had to do was continue the story. The storyline. Not every company can pull off a great storyline, because 5-star matches mean more. And it doesn't. The stories keep people invested. It's just like a movie. You can have all the greatest graphics in the world, but if the story ain't jack spit, nobody's going to watch. So, what is your take on it? Which match do you think will be the match of the night, sir?
I'm hoping that it's going to be Damien and Gunther. I'm hoping that they have the match of the night, because I think they need to have the match of the night. But I do have a strong feeling that it might be the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre match, if it does happen.
Well, the match is going to happen. I don't see how it won't.
And barring any injuries as well.
Oof. Well, let's just hope CM Punk doesn't jump out into the crowd again. I don't think that's going to happen. But, yep. We're going to see. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us with part 2 of SummerSlam, best moments, best matches. We appreciate you joining us. Very, very soon, we're going to be coming out with another episode just for you guys. So, enjoy, and we'll be seeing you soon. Take care.